Hello and welcome. You join us at the University of Lincoln's Live Lounge, where today I'm joined by Catherine from Student Support and Advice, and we're going to be navigating the difficult topic of student finance. Now, let's jump straight into the questions, but if you have anything to ask, feel free to put it in the chat and we'll see what we can do. Now, Catherine, please could you give us a bit of an overview about student finance and how to apply?
Yes, certainly. So applications for student finance have opened and you apply to Student Finance England on the DirectGov website. You apply for your first choice. So you might not exactly have a place, you might not know exactly where you're going just yet, but don't worry about that. Make sure you make your application for your first choice and make sure you fill in all the information you can, because if you get your application completed before the 31st of May, Student Finance England say that they will pay your first instalment 3 to 5 working days after teaching starts. I've got a little tip there. 3 to 5 working days after teaching starts is the week after Freshers' Week.
Now, when it comes to paying your student loan, are you responsible for paying your tuition fee to the university?
No, when you make your application to Student Finance England, you will be asked whether you want to apply for a maintenance loan and a tuition fee loan. So you need to tick both of those boxes. It's one student loan, it's one application, but you tick the two boxes. One goes straight to the university, that's the tuition fee loan, and the other part goes to you, that's the maintenance loan.
Now, when it comes to repaying your student loan, when do you start doing that?
That's a great question. So you start paying back 9% of everything you earn. And for students who are about to apply, that's going to be after you're earning £25,000. So if you're earning £27,000, you're going to pay 9% on that £2,000. So that will be £180 and that'll be £15 a month, but not until you're earning more than £25,000.
It's not a very large amount, that. So my next question to you, does the university offer any scholarships or bursaries to help with student financing?
Yeah, absolutely it does. The university has a wealth of scholarships and bursaries, and I can't possibly go into all of them. But if you take a look at the university's website, look at your own personal circumstances, and you'll be able to see what bursaries and scholarships might apply to you.
So you talk about this deadline. What happens if one were to miss the deadline for student finance?
Right, okay, so if you miss that 31st of May deadline, please don't worry. That's okay. If you can get it done before, that's obviously better, but sometimes students don't decide to come to university until after that date. So as long as you make the final deadline, and that's actually not until 9 months after you started the course. However, most students want their money as soon as possible to be able to study.
Now, do you have any sort of additional tips that you'd like to add? For anyone watching, anything that you might want to say to them before they start the process? Anything that you might want to advise during the process?
I would say if you're at all unsure, just ask questions. There are advisors at all universities, at the University of Lincoln, there's us, and we're here to be able to help you navigate that process if you've got any questions. Most important thing really is to get all the evidence that student finance need, and if they ask you for something that you're not sure about, ask what it is exactly that they need from you.
Now, we're not just going to be talking about student finance today, as we also have a crack panel of students who are going to come and answer questions about budgeting. So here's an earlier version of me to give you some of my best budget tips.
Tips as a student here at the University of Lincoln. Tip number 1, create a budget and stick to it. That way you know what your income and your outgoings are, whether it's on a notepad and pen or through an app. Tip number 2, make sure to take full advantage of student discounts, whether it's uni days or student beans, but also make sure to take full advantage of supermarket discount cards, whether that's things like Morrison's More or Tesco Club cards. Tip number 3, cook at home where you can, and batch cooking also helps if possible. Now, something else you could try is you could all contribute to a kitchen budget box, because you don't need to go out and buy 4 different bottles of milk. Now, let's get back to the Live Lounge.
Welcome back to the Live Lounge. Now, here is our amazing student panel. Do you guys care to introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Melissa. I'm a first-year pharmacy student.
Hello, my name is Ruben and I'm a second-year medical student.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm a second-year history student.
Now, let's jump straight into the questions. So, Emma, how have you found managing your money so far at university, and do you have any tips?
I found it fairly easy to manage my money at uni. I set myself a weekly budget, and I give myself a little bit of leeway in case I go over, just for like extra expenses.
Ruben, do you have anything to add?
Similar to what she said, I think that little excess is very important because you're not always on your best behavior with money. I also like to batch cook when I can. So that means cooking a couple meals so that I have food in the freezer and trying to cook with flatmates when I can as well.
See, Ruben gets it. He's been watching the video from earlier, me. Melissa, do you have anything you want to add?
For sure. I mean, managing your money at uni is really important. The little £5 spends definitely add up. For me, I find that going into the supermarket to do my weekly shop with a bit of a list, a bit of a rough plan for what I'm going to eat that week helps me stay on track with my budget.
Now, Melissa and Ruben, I've got a question for both of you. Do you think it's possible to work part-time along with your degree? Do you think it's a challenging thing to do, an easy thing to do? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Myself and a lot of my friends all have jobs at university. It can be challenging at times to sort of organize your timetable, but it's really great to have an extra stream of income when talking about sort of your weekly shop, things like that. The university offers lots of flexible part-time job schemes, things like student ambassador or working for the student union helps you manage your time between studies and work.
Yeah, so similar to what she said, being a student ambassador means that it's flexible. It means that I can choose my to-do shifts when I have the time because of a difficult schedule. But the benefit of that prioritization is the extra money that you get, and that could be spent from food to train tickets to entertainment in the city as well. So it's a good benefit, and I feel like it outweighs the need to prioritize your time well.
Emma, I want to pick on you now. Are there any cheap or free activities that you'd recommend to students to do in Lincoln?
I personally like to go to all the green spaces. So there's West Common on the west side of the city. There's the Arboretum on Monks Road. They're really nice little places that you can go and sit with your friends and do some work, and you don't have to spend much money.
Ruben, Melissa, do you guys have any tips on that one?
Yeah, so a couple of my friends on my course, they like to do this thing called Park Run that they run in Lincoln. So every Saturday they meet up at Bolton Park, I believe. And they just go for a run. That's a nice activity to do. It's outside. There are other spaces in Lincoln that you could go to as well, be it cafes, the student places like Towers or the Swan to hang out, to have a drink. Sometimes you're able to watch the football, which I really like to do at Towers. Yeah.
Like Ruben said, like we're really lucky that Lincoln is such a beautiful and historic city. So, going and visiting the cathedral as a student is free. Walking around the town is obviously lovely as well. And as part of the student union, we also have a feel good program. Every week there's a different sport or activity that's on offer. These are usually free, if not, they're only a few pounds. And it's a great way to just go and try a different sport with some friends without committing to a society, for example.
Now, Catherine, we're coming back for you for your advice. How can you open a student bank account?
Actually, excellent question. So many people think they can't open the student bank account until they've started at university, and that is not usually true. You usually need your UCAS letters, really, to prove that you're going to go to university. My advice would be check out all of the different student bank accounts. Make sure that whatever it is that they're offering is going to be advantageous to you. Don't just go for the blingy bits. Go for what's actually going to help.
Now, I'm going to come back to you guys for this question because I don't think Catherine will have too much insight, but what do we think about student discounts? Are there any places where they're quite good, like any apps or services you use to use them?
Yeah, absolutely. So my go-to is uni days. I always check there before anywhere else. I think that's probably the most popular amongst students. It's got a range of great discounts from food to shopping, so it's definitely worth checking out.
This may not be directly student discounts based, but there are apps that you can use to save money as well. There's one that I use a bit called Too Good To Go. It's a food waste app, so it allows you to access the different restaurants around Lincoln at a discounted price because it's food that would otherwise be thrown away. And it's very much a good reason for me to use it, especially for cheats, for takeaways and stuff, and you get to save a bit of money there as well.
And you can always look up online if there are any local cafes or anything that's offering student discounts, all the different restaurants in town. You can also get like bonus cards and discount cards that gets you a lot of cheap things.
Now, on the notion of shopping in Lincoln, are there any sort of budget-friendly shops that we'd recommend to prospective students? Emma?
I mean, Aldi. Everyone knows Aldi and Lidl, always really cheap shops. You can get a big shop for like £20. It's always nice. And I go to Tortilla as well. if you want like a nice little cheap sweet treat or
Yeah.
like a really nice burrito.
Ruben, what about you?
I am a very big advocate for Lidl. Lidl is where I do a lot of my food shopping, and because of that, I have the Lidl app. Getting apps for different supermarkets is really important as well because it's free to download and you get different benefits from that as well, be it discounts off of certain food items that might appeal to you, or like the loyalty reward bonus that you get with it as well. It's really helpful and it adds up sometimes when I'm doing my shop.
Melissa, what about you? Where do you choose to shop?
A mix of all three, really, to be honest. I mean, there's Morrison's that's down the road if you're ready to do like a big shop. Again, with the discount cards, it really does add up, and it's definitely worth investing in those. We're really lucky in Lincoln that we've got a range of budget discount shops. I mean, for homeware, you could always visit B&M, things like that, all in the center of town. So just shopping smart, if you know some things are cheaper in different shops, going there and sort of jumping around can really help you save money as well.
Now, Catherine, we're going to come back to you again, if that's all right. So what measures are put in place by the university to support any students that are in financial hardship?
Yeah, okay. So the university does have a financial assistance fund, which is made up of many different kinds of funds, but the main one is about people who might be struggling financially. You do have to apply and you do have to provide quite a lot of information for that, but my advice would be if you are really struggling to make ends meet, you do seek advice and there will be people who can help you.
And do you need to have your university choice locked down before you apply for student finance, or is it something that's flexible?
Absolutely not. So when it comes to Student Finance England, you absolutely just apply as soon as you've got your first choice, because the process is the same whichever university you go to. So the student finance are going to have to do the assessments. They just want to know where you're going to enroll before you enroll. So get the application in. Don't worry too much if you haven't got that final decision made.
Now we're going to come back to the panel for one last question, if that's okay. So do you guys use any apps to help track your spending? I, for example, use Monzo. It tells me the trends that I'm, tending to spend. Usually I ignore them, but what do you guys do?
Myself personally, my mobile banking has a built-in sort of budget feature. It's not weekly, which can sometimes be a bit challenging, but it has my monthly budget on there and it can see how much I've spent throughout the month, and you can set it to sort of groceries, leisure activities, eating out, things like that is a really good way of helping track your spending.
I don't have a budgeting app per se. What I like to do is before going for a big shop, I'll put a certain amount in my account with a little bit extra in case I see a couple treats that I like, and then aim to spend a certain amount, but obviously I have that excess just in case, and that's how I like to track my food.
I also personally don't have any specific apps. I just write down my weekly budget on my notes app. Makes it easy. You just figure out what you can spend per week and just write it down.
Now, I think that's all we have time for today, folks. Now, you can join us back here for our next live lounge on the 26th of March, and that's on student support. So thank you very much for watching.